Hello, this is Mechanical Gamer here, and welcome to my Let's Play Satisfactory. We're going to start ourselves a new game that's going to be completely for this year. We're going to call this one Let's Play 2025. And we have 4 different locations to start from here in Satisfactory. Just so you know, those of you who are thinking about getting into Satisfactory, each of these start locations can be reached regardless of where you start. So if I start here in Grass Fields, which is probably where we're going to start, if I really wanted to, I could walk over to the Rocky Desert, I could walk up to the Northern Forest, and I can walk over to the Dune Desert. When I play my games, let's make sure that this is not open to friends. We'll apply that. The first thing that we're going to notice here is that I don't have the skip onboarding. We're going to do the onboarding portion. I have a location that I do like in the grassy fields. It's just a little bit of ways from there that has a decent start out for materials. We're going to make our way there. We're going to start up here with the opening video. I'm going to let you guys watch that without interruption. Here we go. Now this Let's Play series is going to be live and unedited. So that's another thing to note, that these videos can be long because of that.
Separation from main transport complete. Group 8 delivered to Calistian region. All pioneers functional, initiating dispersion. Attention Pioneer, I am Ada, your personal instance of the Artificial Directory and Assistant. Welcome to the Fixit Incorporated Save the Day program. A Fixit Pioneer has 3 core assignments. Construct. All pioneers must follow Fixit guidelines and instructions when constructing any building. Automate. Every pioneer is responsible for setting up and managing efficient pipelines, outposts, and power infrastructure. Explore and exploit. Fixit selected planets are rich with resources suitable for direct use or further investigation. Stay within your designated. And that is why the world is counting on pioneers like you. Fixit. Short-term solutions to long-term problems. Initiating planetfall. Atmospheric entry in 3, 2, 1. Beginning arrow assist. Drag within acceptable parameters. Descent phase begun. Decelerating. Deploying parachute. Deploying backup parachute. Skipping parachute. Landing phase begun. Activating retro propulsion.
And we are down the ground.
Planetfall complete. Drop pod integrity nominal. Omni situational exploration suit nominal. Pioneer. Acceptable. Congratulations, you are the 3rd in your region to survive planetfall. Welcome to Massage 2, ABB, in the binary system of Akicha.
Okay, we got a long walk ahead of us.
Loading objective-based introduction. Begin onboarding. First contact safety tool supplied due to presence of alien megafauna. Adhere
Apply
to
the
Fixit
Xenozapper
procedure
here.
and equip the Fixit Inc. Xenozapper before leaving the drop zone.
We're going
Next
to take this
objective,
pod.
dismantle the drop pod. Fix-It Incorporated is cost-effective and efficient. We do not waste. The drop pod will be recycled to construct the first stage of the habitat and utility base, often referred to as the hub.
Now we're going to want to collect leaves, hellberries,
Next
anything
objective,
we can along the
use
way.
the resource scanner to find and collect additional iron to be able to build the hub. If you cannot find iron, be assured scans of the planet have revealed sufficient iron sources. Potential edible collected. If consumed before authorized is compatible with the human digestive system by Fix-It, the consumer is responsible for any and all consequences. Store this potential resource for later use.
So there's an impure node here. We're trying to really get away from these impure. The normal nodes are okay. But what we really want is a couple pure nodes along with a decent node of limestone and copper. And I do know of such a location. We're making our way that way now. Oh, those hogs have noticed us. We gotta move quick.
Potential edible collected. Eating it and surviving does not count as a valid field test and does not generate enough data for Fix-It to make an informed decision. Store this
Now,
potential resource for later use.
and we can see there's iron resources all around us here. Matter of fact, there's a couple there. Most of them are back where we just came from. None of those are pure as far as I remember. Along with the purity, along with decent copper and limestone nodes, which we need for the base construction. We're going to want to get a limestone system up and running as quickly as possible, because until we get ourselves
Potential edible
Mark II
collected.
belts,
Reminder that look and
we
smell
are
alone
going to
do
have
not
some
provide
issues
sufficient data to determine exact risk of consumption. Just because it looks like you can eat it does not mean it won't
with
eat you.
production
Store this potential
of
resource for
concrete
later use.
for building construction. So mostly we're just going to do floors for now. We will probably in time apply some other techniques. We've got to watch out for this hatcher here. I don't know if he knows we're here, so let's move as quickly as we can. Alright, so you can see now we're at the other end of the grassy fields. We're actually approaching, this right here is a pure limestone node, which we are going to take advantage of. We saw an iron node right here. That's what this is. We got a copper node there. This iron node is pure. So we got both of those things. I know that copper node is also pure.
Samples of unknown alien species acquired.
Get these guys out of here.
Weaponized plasma is most likely stored as a stable chemical substance in an organ close to their mouth, and only turns volatile when exposed to one of the chemical elements in the air. Preserve the remains for later study.
It's going to force us to scan. Alright, so we're going to walk over here. This will actually do what it wants us to do.
Next objective, use the build gun to construct the hub. Iron is a base component necessary for all near future progress, so ensure you build the hub close to iron sources. Fix-It does not pay by the kilometer.
And we're actually going to set our hub up next to this lower one, because this lower one is going to be our primary for our opening.
Hub foundation built. The hub terminal and crafting bench are only the humble beginnings of a successful Fix-It pioneer, but essential for the next steps of onboarding. Once finished, the hub will function as your base of operations. Next objective, complete hub upgrade 1.
So yeah, we got Ada there telling us to do hub upgrade 1. We already know this. We can get through the first 9. That would be perfect. The first 6 upgrades, which is what we've got here for these tier 0s. We're going to crank out some rods. And some steel plate. And some iron plate. That way we're kind of got a few pieces. This is going to give us our frame. This will give us a spot to put all the biomass.
Frame completed. Equipment
Things that we
like
don't
the
need in our
portable
inventory
miner
right
can
now.
now be made in the workshop. Congratulations on completing your first milestone, the first of many providing access to new
So
recipes
upgrade
and
2,
technologies for
that's
the
going to be a
Fix-It
bit more
mission.
expensive, so let's
Next
go
objective, complete hub upgrade 2.
So we also got the equipment workbench. So if this means that we've got portable miners available to us, we should take advantage of that and set them up. And we do, but we don't have the resources to build them. So let's get the resources to build those, because there's no point in sitting here having to chip away when we can mine. So let's see here. Portable miner is going to need. We're going to refine these iron ingots. Get that all up and running. Okay, voila. We'll put these all into steel tube or iron tube, iron rods, whatever you want to call them. We will now build a couple of these. We will assign them to our second hand. Let them get to work. They're going to pull iron a lot faster than I can. So now we have a large amount of iron. Let's go and get that refined up. That way we can get this next hub upgrade. These upgrades should be quick and simplistic. We could set up some basic productions for things like iron, things of that sort. We are going to set up a concrete line, but we want to really wait till we get foundations for that. That's the first thing we want to set up on foundation. The concrete line. And that concrete line will allow for us to begin with the construction of our platforms. And then after that, of course, steel production comes next. Then copper production. But before we do any of that, before we do anything of that sort, we really got to focus on get that concrete up. Then we got to get a biomass burner plant up, because that right there is going to make our lives miserable. If we do not do that, we will not have enough power to function. We'll keep running into that roadblock, and we don't want to run into that roadblock. And we won't be seeing a chainsaw till tier 2, which is when we'll start really clear cutting all this forest on this hill. Start to really industrialize this area. Alright, almost there. Now that we've got our iron ingots, we are going to do a crap ton of rods, and then we'll do some plate. Get up to 50 rods, then we'll do the rest in plate. Now, iron plates are going to be something we're going to want to automate pretty quickly on, just as a minor line. And we could tell that's something we're going to want to do because they take a long time to build. They take 3 seconds or 3 strikes for us to build it versus 1 for iron rods. So let's get that started, shall we? Because that's going to be sitting. Perfect. So we are a bit close to that Mercer sphere. That really does worry me, so we're going to have to watch out for that. Alright, so now we've got that. We can now hit hub upgrade 2. This is going to give us access to things such as copper.
Hub upgrade 2, power and shell, completed. The smelter can turn raw ore such as copper and iron into ingots, and the biomass burner generates power when fueled. Fun fact, most of the native flora and fauna is compatible with Fix-It technology.
And we are going to just rip out a bunch of these.
Fueling the biomass burner with inappropriate materials will result in deductions or even cancellation of your yearly bonus.
We might have to
Next
fight over the
objective,
copper node.
complete
Yes, we
hub
got a
upgrade
couple
3.
hogs over there. How beautiful. Luckily for us, we know how to parkour just a little bit.
Samples of new alien
Those
species
guys.
acquired. Notable features are blunt teeth, suggesting it is herbivorous, and a thickly plated skull and spine, suggesting it is
We will
proficient
drop 3
at
on this one. We're going to do the same
inflicting
thing
blunt force trauma.
to the
Preserve the remains for later study.
limestone node over here. We're going to go and do the next hub upgrade. Which we can see requires some steel, requires some materials that we don't have. One of those being an acquirement from our new copper mine. Like I said, it will be a lot nicer when all of this is up and running and ready to rock and roll. We're going to try to get through Tier 0 tonight, and then we will pick up with Tier 1 at a later date. The spitter over there, I'm not liking that. I mean, we already have a basic smelter, but we really don't want to touch that until we have the technology to put in power poles. That way we can actually utilize it to its fullest ability, get it producing some concrete, get it producing some, actually get it producing some basic steel plate. Maybe we'll get one doing concrete. Matter of fact, right now we could produce concrete faster than the system can do it, because it's a 3-to-1 ratio. For every three pieces of three pieces of limestone, you get one concrete, which means that a belt that feeds at 60 units a minute will only yield out 20 units of that a minute, and we can do 30. But the difference that we really care about there is that eventually we'll upgrade to a 120, and that'll mean that we'll have 3 smelters running 120 pieces a minute, yielding out 40 a minute, which is more handy than us doing it by hand. Not to mention having those machines running at 24/7 the entire time we're playing also is a benefit, because we can't be producing limestone into concrete every opportunity at all the whole time. The same thing is going to happen with the iron ingots and the copper ingots here in the future as well. We're not going to be able to continuously run those all the time. We're going to want to be mass producing those so that we could free up time to build. Now, since this is my first video, the name Mechanical Gamer. The reason why I chose it is because of my career. In the real world, outside of YouTube and other streaming services, that's my job. I'm a mechanical engineer. I enjoy working and designing and creating, which I'll tell you right now, those of you who think games like Satisfactory or Space Engineers are like the real thing, I'm going to tell you right now, it ain't anything like it at all. It's not even a simulation of it. Not even nearly as complex. Real engineering will kick you in the teeth. Whereas this game, yeah, it could be difficult, but it ain't that difficult. So yeah, here I am late on this beautiful Memorial Day. And knowing that in the morning I gotta wake up bright and early, 5:45, 6 a.m. to go to work. That's gonna be, that's the kicker. And if people think, oh yeah, well maybe you'll make these YouTube videos to the point where you'll make good money, I don't know. I don't think it'll ever compete with what I do for a living. And if it does, then it'll be great. That'll be great. That'll be a supplemental income that me and my wife could use. So let's put out 100 rods and then a bunch of steel plate. Actually, let's do this. Yeah, let's do the rods first. And whatever we don't use making of the steel plate, we'll use to finish it. We'll finish off with rods. We don't want ingots in our inventory. We're also going to want to put the hog remains into the chest over here as well. This location for the not the MAM, we're not going to deal with the molecular analysis machine yet, for the hub is not going to be final. It may move several more times as the base progresses above it, but it is going to move up and away from this location to a more centralized location that is on a grid somewhere. Yeah, we're going to have some material left over for tubes, for rods. And now we go and collect the next 300 piece, which is over here at the copper vein. Now, many people will set up their full productions on the ground, but I don't like to do that because it is a mess. In my opinion, it creates a mess. That's the wrong way with that. Let's pull it into there, okay. And there is going to come a time when, well, we don't have to worry about that because it'll all be on the grid. But that right now is not now. Right now we are starting in the sticks, in the dirt. We have nothing but this hub and a couple little deployable miners. And now here we are producing wire and getting ready to produce cable. And we're going to try to get to tier 1 tonight and maybe get some basics, mostly maybe maybe a concrete line and a steel line, as an iron plate line, because those two things are going to be the most needed and sought after materials for our base construction. Now, it's important when you start your game, just remember that it can be difficult to kill some of these megafauna, these different life forms. The spitter can be difficult because he's shooting at you, he's got range on you, but he's easy to dodge. Most people have issues with the hatchers and the hogs, with the hatchers being the worst of them. The hogs, they could be jumped over unless, of course, you bump yourself into one of the alpha hogs or alpha hog subclass types. There is a rock thrower and there is a radioactive one, so keep that in mind that both of those will kill you. And if I remember correctly, there's also a hog that has a jetpack. At least one hog somewhere on this map has a jetpack. And he will try to launch himself at you to blow you up. If you manage to kill him before he ignites that jetpack, well, he'll drop it, and then, well, you get yourself a free jetpack that you can't use until you get fuel for it. But that's one of the reasons why I kind of chose this location. This location, of course, as you know, has copper, it has limestone, it has iron, but to the north there is a rich oil field, so that'll come in handy. I believe it's the now to the east, it's the east. So to the east there is large, vast quantities of coal, which can be used to produce power and can also be shipped back to create, if we so choose, steel products. To the southeast, there is a Caterium ore site, which will come in handy. Not to mention, this also has decent connection to the rest of the green fields, and we do know that the green fields have a variety of materials. The only thing they're really missing that's down low is a good source of quartz. But we will have to go head up that way at some point. We're going to have to build a quartz facility anyway for the silica. For one, silica is used to make glass, and two, when we get to tier 7 and we start producing alumina and start making aluminum scrap and making aluminum ingots, we're not going to get enough of it from, we're not going to have enough silica to produce that from just refining it. So we're going to have a booster of some kind, and usually we use a vein of quartz to do that. Plus there is an entire quartz line on the tree that comes in handy. The big one that we're really going to focus on here for the MAM technology, once it's unlocked, we will focus on that with what materials we have already. We want to unlock as much of that as we can, as soon as we can. Those technologies are invaluable to us, particularly the quick wire technologies. We want smart splitters as soon as we can. We want circuit breakers as soon as we can, so that we can monitor our base and shut down sections of our base as needed. to conserve power when needed. On the quartz line, we'd like to have that sand rail. That would be nice to have. Plus, the quartz line also, if I remember correctly, that's where you find the blade runners. And the blade runners are going to come in handy. Mycelia line's great because another big one that we'll focus on a little bit because of the parachute that is located there. Not to mention synthetic fibers. We're going to need that stuff for gas masks in the future anyway. So we need to develop it now. Develop it as soon as we can. And then of course there's the last line, which is, let's see, we've done sulfur, deuterium, quartz, mycelia. So that is all of them. And then of course you have the alien research. And you have the slug research. And those two are going to also be very prevalent in what we got to do. Mercer spheres are an important aspect for dimensional portaling. The summer sloop can be used to produce a machine that will give us power. A boost to our power systems, which we will be wanting to take advantage of. Not to mention, there is a new type of overclocking there that produces more materials than what you put in, which will come in handy, particularly for converting slugs over to, we'll do 150 of this, the slugs over to, what do we call it? What is that called again? Slugs over to power overclocking capsules. If I remember correctly, that's what they're called. We'll know here. We'll probably know here on the next meet, because this one here, just get up to tier 1, get the base started. Tier 1 will probably be the more difficult one, but like I said, we might even let it sit. We might even have to do an episode there and just let the game sit, just so that we can play. Perfect. So now we've got that.
Hub Upgrade 3, Interior Furnishing, completed. The constructor can produce simple parts, and power poles allow for the expansion of the power grid. When you make the inevitable mistake, Fixit's dismantling feature is designed to salvage all resources used during construction, in line with our zero waste policy.
So luckily we have the we already have the miners working on this, so we're going to grab this, because this is needed now.
Complete Hub Upgrade 4.
And we're going to get that hub upgrade as quickly as we can. So let's get that concrete going. Yeah, I don't like doing this by hand any more than the next person. This is the worst part about Satisfactory's opening, is the humdrum of this type of thing. Now, some of the other games like Dyson Sphere Program, they're the same way. But, and maybe I'll consider doing a series on Dyson Sphere, because Dyson Sphere is fun. You can spend hundreds of hours on that, just like you can on this, and still not be done. And then, of course, another game I've picked up recently is Planet Coaster 2. The ratings on that weren't so high at first, but they are starting to reverberate back around as people grow used to it. So I will probably think about a series for that one as well at some point. Hub Upgrade 4.
Hub Upgrade 4, Landing Platform and Utilities, completed. Conveyor belts connect the output of one building to the input of another and transport resources. Due to past incidents, I have been asked to issue a clarification. Portable miners, obviously, do not have a connection for conveyor belts. There is nothing to suggest, visually or functionally, that they can be connected to portable miners.
This conveyor pipe, we will be getting rid of that.
Do not worry. Fixit has alternative uses for all their pioneers. Next objective, complete Hub Upgrade 5.
So this one here will be, my, so 5 I'm going to probably put my, wait, do we have miners yet? We don't have miners, and why did I pick that up? We don't have miners yet, so let's see what it takes for upgrade 5. We may already have all of those materials in stock. If we do, let's just kill it real quick. Which we do. This will give us the miner.
Hub Upgrade 5, Power Expansion, completed. The miner, unlike portable miners, can be connected to conveyor belts and requires power to function. Caution: as you expand, the energy demand of your production may exceed the capacity of your power grid. The onboarding program was established because Fix-It pioneers often experience memory issues after planetfall. If you are experiencing nosebleeds, nausea, existentialism, or an itchy scalp, there is no need for concern.
Okay, cat,
This
you're
should
gonna walk
pass
across
within
me
5
like
to
that. That's
7
funny.
workdays. Next objective.
Right, my cat that I have here just decided he was going to play a game of walk across the chest. So we are going to line these up. The only problem here is that we do not have any ability at all. We need reinforced plates. So let's see what we got for that. We don't have enough iron. Yeah, we're gonna put the basher back in there. Get these guys back to work now that the miner's down. We're gonna still need those to produce rods. We're not gonna build a rod facility. Like I said, we don't really want to invest in that. Hub upgrade 6. This is the final upgrade. As you can see, we've already got most of the materials in stock. And we'll see how far we get tonight. Like I said, we're probably not going to get very far into Tier 1. We might even stop at Tier 1. We might just get the foundation portion and maybe the splitter junction unlocked, and then we will build the concrete facility. That way we can start mass producing that, because concrete is like one of the worst resources to deal with in this game. It really is, because at first, especially at the beginning, because your belts can only carry 60, you can actually handcraft concrete at 10 more units per minute than faster than the system can. You can do it with any setup you create. So that is the other issue that we're going to try to resolve, because instead of getting 20, we want to try to get 40. That requires us to upgrade and get Mark II belts. So we got that. Now we're going to do, to tell you the truth, I should just cheat it. We got plenty of leaves and things like that here. That's one of the reasons why we chose this spot. Most of this underbrush that you see here, it grows back. So just keep that in mind. It will come back if you don't put a foundation over it, and you can continue to burn it continue collecting it and using it in your biomass plants until you get your coal up and running. Once you have coal, okay, we got something coming this way. It's a spitter. I say spitters aren't as hard as the hogs can be, or the hatchers, because both of those, they're hard. The hatchers are hard because they're airborne. The hogs are hard because they're fast and they're nimble. The spitters, they could be difficult because they can spit you up pretty decent, but usually you end up trashing them pretty good. So we got some biomass burning now. let's start producing our iron ingots. We now have that machine over there producing iron ingots as well, so that's another thing to keep in mind. We'll be able to collect those to turn into iron rods if we need to as well. But we need the iron rods for the screws right now. We also don't have any plates right now, so we got to build both of these things. And we need 2 reinforced plates, which I don't know if I could scan over it and you could see it. No, we're not going to be able to see it because we're manufacturing. But that's 12 screws and I believe 2 or 4 iron plates per. So we need to make sure that we have enough rods to turn the screws, which usually isn't that many rods for screws, but we also need rods for power poles and other equipment. And like I said, we probably want to get at least a base concrete facility up and running just to get some concrete in, because just letting that do its thing as we start working on these next tiers is going to help us while we start setting up for that. And plus, we're not going to make enough concrete to really do anything. Now, steel plate, on the other hand, that's a different story. We can manufacture quite a bit of steel plate at quite a rapid rate. So that is something to keep in mind when you are doing your playthrough. Matter of fact, that's a good thing for this video here. If you really want to, you could copy what I'm doing in real time because you're seeing me do it in real time. I'm not skipping anything. I'm not skimping out on how to do this, how to do that. But at the same time, I'm teaching you how it works and what you need to do and what resources you need to do what. And these opening parts of the game, they're pretty easy. I'll tell you now, this game's not as hard as Space Engineers was when I first got it back in 2015. And they didn't have a tutorial. Even this game has somewhat of a tutorial. Back then, they didn't have one for that game. And I remember sitting there thinking, how do I get raw ore into components? And I didn't know about the ingot step. But I started looking at all the equipment and blocks, and then I realized there's something called a refinery. And a refinery would turn ore into ingots, and then the ingots can be turned into, and an assembly can be turned into the materials you need, the components. So I said, okay, I figured it. So I figured that out pretty quickly. Now this game's a bit more advanced. And what I mean by advanced is that you have, yes, you have the same thing. You have a constructor which produces iron plate and iron rod, but constructors aren't the only thing you're going to deal with. Very quickly on within, I mean, when I say very quickly, I mean tier 2. When we get there, we're going to see something that's very phenomenal. We're going to see a new device. And that new device is called an assembler. An assembler takes 2 raw components that are developed and created either in constructors or in our arc furnaces or in our furnaces or smelters or furnace. Smelters, so furnace is a different thing. We'll worry about that one at tier 3 or 4. But you'll see that as well. And we'll be able to take 2 equipment pieces, like say for instance screws and iron plates, to make reinforced iron plates, like we're about to do now. We're going to make 100 of this, and then the rest of it will be screws. The rest of it will be rod. Then we'll make a couple screws. We'll get that iron plate. We're going to make enough to make. Let's make enough to make 4 or 3. Yeah, 4 reinforced plate to build 2. Constructors, because we're going to do concrete and we're going to do steel plate or iron plate, which is what we're building right now. We would like to automate these just a little bit because, trust me, it comes in handy, guys. Yeah, those of you people who tell you, oh, don't automate this stuff right away, they're kind of wrong. Automate some of it. It's like I'll tell you, the copper one is one I would not worry about. I'd be more worried about the iron plate and the concrete, because those two take a lot out of a pipe. They take a lot of time to build those. They're time consuming. The wire can be too, but we're not really too worried about that. We'll worry more about that one when we get the biomass plant up and running, and then we'll start mass producing those products. So yep, here we go. There's our rod. So we're going to need, like I said, we're going to need 12, so the 24, we're going to need 36, 48 of these. So it's going to give us 2. And right now, we don't want to overproduce anything if we can help it, because every piece of material counts right now. Keep that in mind when you're designing for your first base. Every piece of material at the start of the game, it matters. See, I think we should have logistics organization. We do. This is going to be on our 0 key. Like I said, we will begin just dumping this into this cargo container. I don't care if it's clipping. Iron is one of the most important resources in the game. Iron plate is one of the most important resources in the game. We want to stockpile it. Now we're going to do the same thing over here with our concrete. We're going to pick up these miners. Now we're going to get a lot less of this than we normally would. I figure there's something wrong about that. Okay, there's our belt for this guy. Let's do some power. We're not going to send it all the way home yet. We'll have this one producing concrete. So I mean, we're going to get 45 in, 15 out. So we're only going to see 15 right now. We'll put this cargo container over here because the thing is, that area where we're heading toward, this open plain will be a great spot to build out the facilities for concrete production. But right now, we need to focus on just getting some concrete production in. Okay, so let's lead this pole back on home. And you can see now that we're already up to using 18.1 production. And we're almost ready to hit that tier 6 button, guys. And next time I play, I will have a to-do list of things that need to be done. That we will try to accomplish. But for the onboarding portion, we don't really need that. You know, we've now done our grass fields migration. And now we've got ourselves our base of operations where we want to set up our base. Right now we've got temporary structures. These are all temporary structures. We will set them up. We'll set up our lines for 120 pieces per minute for each of them. So now we're starting to see we got 64 iron in there. We probably got 5 or 6 concrete in here. Okay, so we're going to collect this Mercer sphere real quick before we call it a night. Every once in a while there are stingers here, so I'm looking for those too.
The astrobiologist Dr. D.M. Mercer was the first to recognize the presence and probable nature of these alien artifacts. These chain-melted state spheres are named in his honor. Each sphere emits a unique signal and will require study to determine local application, store it for later use.
I really hope that's not an echo. I realize this isn't going over my headset now. Let's take a look here. What do we got that's going to be more of? Okay, we got 151 copper, 51 wire. We're going to need more copper at some point, so we will have to go do some mining, go do some more refining of that. But that's going to be one of our primary objectives in the next video, will be to get rid of this whole notion of, oh yeah, handcraft it. We don't want to do that anymore. That's why we set up the line to do concrete. We set up the line to do steel plate, because we're going to need both, or iron plate, because we're going to need both of those to really take off and build our system. And to build the systems that are going to be held up by that. So we're going to need that for our foundations. Once we have a nice solid set of foundations in, and we're going to set that up in such a way that it's expandable. So that's another thing that we need to note. We want to make it to where make it in such a way that it is expandable. And what that means is that we can easily grow. We don't have biomass technologies yet, so yeah. So we still need steel plate. We're out of steel plate or iron plate. But we are manufacturing that, so hub upgrade 6.
Hub upgrade 6.
And
landing platform hydraulics.
There
completed.
she is.
Freighter landing initialized. Congratulations, you have completed onboarding and achieved the absolute minimum skill level required of a Fix-It pioneer.
We now have brought the
Fix-It
pod
looks
in,
forward to your future achievements,
and we are
because
now
a
into
future
Tier
with
1.
Fix-It as a future with you. Tier 1
So
and
Tier
2
1, our first
milestones
thing
are
is
now
base
available
building,
in the hub, and biomass
and
burners
then
can now be
logistics.
built individually. Your first official objective is to initiate project assembly by building the space elevator. This objective will take a significant amount of resources, so Fix-It recommends getting to work.
Matter of fact, we might be able to just unlock all 3 of these, because to tell you the truth, doing that's not going to hurt us. Then the next episode, we could spend that entire time just focusing on building. So let's go and grab the copper ore from these, because we're going to need it. And let's go grab our iron ore from the 2 over here, so that we can construct our rods. So you'll probably notice something too. Wrong one. We got power. We have this. So we're going to put this on slot 9. This is our biomass burner. Space elevator. This is something we're going to try to shoot for sometime after the construction project is complete. We'll be shooting for that. Okay, we've probably got the plates now. So let's take that over there. Alright, so let's convert all of these over and make them into their resources, and then we'll create the wire and cable and the rods that will make us That should give us enough material to at least get started. And to get these technologies researched. See if I can switch this over here. Okay, so I've now switched over to my headset sound. That way it doesn't echo on you. Like I said, it'll be so nice once this is fully automated, but right now we have to do the willy-nilly grind. And like I said, there may be some time between episodes where I just let this game run for an hour or two, where it's just collecting resources, just getting things built up so that we can build in the next episode what our objectives are. Not only that, but it'll be a great way for me to set the objectives before we start. Now, you're going to notice I'm going to use a lot of watchtowers for assembly and for building, because right now we don't have the hover pack. And I'm also going to advise that it's probably not wise to use the parachute for for putting assemblies up either. There will come a point where we'll start dealing with blueprints, but road networks will not be able to be used in a blueprint until we get to a 5x5. And our first blueprint unlock is, if I remember correctly, tier 4. It's either late tier 3 or early tier 4. And it's a 4x4x4 versus the 5x5x5, which comes in tier 6. So we're now cranking up these copper ingots. Once we have all those out, we'll be ready to rock and roll on producing iron rod, which you don't need to produce iron plate anymore, because we have a ongoing manufacturing facility for that. And we don't need to produce concrete anymore, because we have an ongoing production facility for that as well. But with foundations, we can then, on the next episode, lay out a building foundation that we can use to begin mass producing iron rods, iron plate, copper, wire, and cable, and even screws, and later on reinforced plate when the time comes. The reinforced plate is expensive in the production. 20 steel, if I remember correctly, it's 20 steel and 100 screws. I might be wrong about that. That might be rotors I'm thinking about, but rotors, both of those are expensive units. Alright, we are approaching the 1 hour mark. This episode is probably going to be no more than an hour 10, hour 15. I probably will let it upload while I sleep. seeing as that it seems to be the easiest way to do things. But we will be picking up with an entire slew of things at a later date. That might be on Tuesday, that might be Wednesday, I don't know. It might even not happen until next Saturday. It all depends on how busy I am this week after work and what other things I have going on as to when I get around to it. Like I said, YouTube is it's not my job, it's not my career. It's just something I do for fun. Now we're down to 40. And by the way, we should also convert the leaves over to biomass as well, and stop using leaves and wood as our primary fuel sources. They are not up to the task of producing a suitable amount of fuel quickly. They burn too quickly. So we're actually going to do that first. Let's take care of that first, because now that I noticed it, this doesn't take very long. We can go drop these biomass pellets in there. And not worry about our power grid failing while we're having to do all this hand building. And if I take a look here, sure enough, exactly what I said would happen, happened, so. There we go for that. We'll put the fuel in there along with the excess of both the wood and the leaves. We don't need those in our inventory. Produce the rods, produce the wire, produce a little bit of cable. And honestly, this type of production we're doing right now is good, because this is giving our iron plate production and our concrete production time to get ahead. We are going to start demanding a lot more from those rapidly, because power production is so paramount in this game for the future of what we're going to be doing. We're going to need a lot of power. We're going to probably want at least between 10 and 15 biomass burners to get us through this first little bit of time until we get coal power. There's that wire. Yeah, we might just have enough time to get the this first tier 1 technology and the next one after it. It all depends on how long it takes that lander to get back from its mission, as to whether or not we'll be able to get both of those tonight. And here's another rule of thumb, guys. When you pick up your miners, after you start steel production, or start iron production and start copper production, fill your smelters up with the iron and the copper you collect before turning on your miners. That way you're not sitting there having to having to store it, because you don't have enough space to keep it. Because there's not enough space for you to use it. So yeah. Because you don't want to have to go and refine it by hand again. At that point, you're no longer in the business of doing things by hand. It's unfortunate that they got rid of on 1.0. They got rid of the ability to do multiple runs at a time using for the milestone progressions, which really kind of stinks. I wish they would bring that back, because that was nice. I would just send up all the materials for Tier 1 at once and basically have all of those technologies at my fingertips for the next run. And we're not going to produce the cable yet. We'll let that sit until we see if we need more. But now we've got the wire, we've got the ingots out of our inventory, and we have some base materials to work with. Like I said, we're not producing iron plate anymore because we have a factory doing that for us. That probably has a couple stacks, a couple 200 stacks by now.
Milestone reached. Several new structures are now available for improving factory organization. Foundations provide a building grid, which makes it easier to manage placement of any structure. In the event that you are experiencing amnesia for all events prior to planetfall, be reassured that memories of beloved humans and/or animals would have only been distractions from your important mission.
It's a minute and 30 seconds till that pod's back, so let's grab everything we can. Let's get to see how close we can get to getting the rods done. Because we need 150, we have 122, so we're going to produce more rod. We're probably not going to have any more rods added by the time he gets back. He'll be back before we finish the refinement of these two iron ores here. Stacks of iron ore into ingots here. We should be hearing a sonic boom in about 20 seconds. It's about 30 seconds before he's due back, you hear it. That's what I've noticed. Let's see if it's on cue. Any second now. There he comes. He starts coming back down at 30 seconds. So milestone exchange is concluded. Now we're going to get this next one, which is logistics. This will give us the splitters and the mergers, which is a very important aspect of our factory. We want to be able to send multiple resources from a single mine. We want to send all the resources from a single mine to multiple builders, multiple smelters or multiple constructors, so that we can actually achieve the goal that we're looking for in mass production. We cannot do that with one belt without the splitter. It cannot be done without the splitter or the merger. We have to have those to do that. We are now coming up on the last 10. Like I said, these take a long time. 3 minutes to refine all these. It's about a minute or so. So yeah. Here we go. We get the iron rods. We'll just turn all of this into iron rod real quick. That way we have some extra. After we turn in what we need, it's turning in 150. So we should be able to have about 170 left after we're done turning it in. So 60, 50, makes see all of that's going down, how much iron plate we can get. The only one's going up is screws because screws are made from iron rods. Okay.
Milestone reached. Conveyor belts can now merge, split, and lift to save space and enhance the productivity of your factory. Fixit encourages you to consider investing in verticality when
300
it comes to
screws.
factory
We can do this
logistics.
one too.
If you feel stressed by
take
this
care of it.
complexity, imagine yourself on the shore of a vast and calm ocean.
We're going to
Breathe
need to
in,
get some more
visualize
copper.
all
No,
the
we
people
don't need more
relying on
copper.
you. The sea is made of billions of faces, each staring at you with hope and tears in their eyes. Breathe out, feel refreshed and focused on your duties.
But now tier 1 will be fully researched tonight, and then we need to worry about factory setup in the next episode. So yes, it's more than possible to get through these technological tiers 0 and 1, in about an hour and 20 minutes. It shouldn't take that long, about an hour and 10, hour and 15 usually is the norm. That's about where we are now. Okay, we've got the materials to send that up. Let's go see how our concrete production has been doing while we've been focusing on this. There's we have 271. So yeah, that, like I said, we want that to sit for a while. Let it develop. Meanwhile, we'll go grab these coppers and start bringing them back for refinement. Yes, I could, and I'm serious when I say this, I could set up a factory to do that for me. There's really no point right now because we're going to be putting everything on a grid here very, very soon, and that is more important to us. Okay, so once that rocket gets back, we will immediately stop, do our research, and then come back and finish this and the wire. Once that's done, then we'll be calling an episode. Now these episodes are going to range anywhere from 30 minutes to several hours. Could be up to 4 hours in length, because it is a Let's Play live streaming style and may even very well turn into a live streaming event in the near future. Matter of fact, that is the ultimate plan. You should be hearing our sonic boom here in any second. Around 26 seconds, so we should be hearing it in about 23 seconds. Actually 13. Let's see here. 5 seconds or so. There she is. In these opening stages of the game, there is no wasted motion. You're usually always either smelting
Milestone reached. Supply the molecular analysis machine, referred to as the MAM, with local resources to research and develop new technologies. Potential technologies include
We're doing what you
exploration
just did there,
tools,
setting
weapons,
materials up,
and
so
factory buildings. These are essential for maximizing
we are now
your
into
pioneer
tier 2, and we
efficiency
don't
in
even have a
alignment
base
with
up
Fixit's
yet.
core pillars: construct, automate, explore, and exploit. To advance Fixit's mission, all notable phenomena,
But we will
resources,
be-
technology, or other influence should be investigated regardless of any perceived danger, as stated in the Pioneer contract.
No, we will be definitely in the next episode setting up some production lines. Like I said, we want to design them so that they can be easily expanded upon as our technology grows. That way we can get more of those resources. Yeah, we will have the copper ore refined before that ship gets back. And we'll get refining the wire, then we'll see where our materials are, and then we'll call it a night. We're not going to discuss how this building's going to go quite yet, but I do know that I will be putting on one level the smelters, the next level will be the constructors, and then the level above that will be assemblers. We'll get a good chunk of this converted before they land. Four, three, two, one. Coming back. I'd say we did relatively well tonight. We'll be starting our base construction in the next episode. And getting that up and running as a tier 2 base of operation. Only 116 more to go. Yep, about 100, I think right around an hour 20 or so. That's when we'll be stopping, which is a good run for tonight. We'll have to make some cable later. Right now we've got 51 of it. So that's all we need really for now. We're really going to want to get that up closer to around 200 for base construction, but right now it's fine. All right. Let's see how this is doing. This is at 380. Perfect. So our first objective on our next playthrough video will be to set up the biomass plant. That's first. Then we'll come in and we'll set up the concrete production, and then we'll set up iron production somewhere up over here, and then we'll set up copper production over here. But that being said, it is now getting late and time for me to call it a day. So therefore I bid thee all farewell from your new favorite friend, the Mechanical Gamer. I bid you a good evening or good day or whatever it is you have going on. And I will see you all on the next episode. Bye bye now.